Hello and welcome. I am Matt Grubba here on DK Sports Radio. It's time for the Pitt Show. We're going to talk all things Pitt athletics. And first of all, let's thank our sponsor, Bazzi Vreeland Associates. They bring us, all help us out with the great Pitt coverage we're able to put out there for you. They're the exclusive sponsor for our coverage here at DKPittsburghSports.com. With several Pitt alums, homegrown Pittsburgh attorneys, and deep roots in the communities of southwestern Pennsylvania, the attorneys at Bazzi Vreeland Associates are proud to bring quality coverage of Pitt athletics from the top independent sports website in Pittsburgh. And, I said at the top, all things Pitt athletics, but I don't think anyone's focusing on anything much else than football recruiting after this past weekend. When you look at what Pitt was able to do, you've had a Sunday to remember. 9 players giving verbal commitments to the Panthers, bringing the total in the class to 11. They actually added a 12th early in the week after Father's Day. But, from a situation where fans were upset that, there wasn't much news on the Pitt recruiting front, what are they doing? Other schools were getting into gear, and Pitt was lagging behind. All of a sudden, Pitt now has probably their most productive first couple weeks of June that they've had under Pat Narduzzi. Now, it's let's get a few things clear before we go on talking about recruiting. Number one, we're talking about verbal commitments. As everyone should know, and if you don't, that's why I'm stopping to talk about it, these are non-binding commitments. Signing day, there's an early period in December. Signing day proper for most of these kids that aren't going to be early enrollees is not until first week of February. So we have a long way to go in the recruiting game. Pitt has time to add players. Every team around the country has time to add players. So, look, I know we got to have something to talk about, and people are going online clicking to see, Alabama ranked number 1 again in recruiting, and where's Clemson, where's, the top ACC teams. I get it. Everybody wants to see the process as it's going on, but let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. Let's not put the cart before the horse, as they say. Let's remember, we're just dealing with early decisions here, but it's better to have them than not after saying that. And, the way the Panthers sort of got the weekend open, they get a recruit at a position of need in junior college tight end Travis Kuntz. He's the number 1 rated junior college tight end in the country. Comes from Ventura College out in California, which is the same place that backup quarterback Ricky Town came before this spring to the Panthers, so a little connection there. But the thing with Kuntz is, while he was playing junior college ball in California, he's actually a Youngstown, Ohio kid, so he's virtually a local kid for the Panthers. Wanting to be closer to home was a part of his decision, and he's a guy that, he's going to get a year of junior college ball in this fall, and he's going to be coming to the Panthers in 2019. That was how the whole weekend started. So he was only the second commitment out of everything. But then Sunday morning started out. Actually, Saturday night we were getting hints from Pat Narduzzi, likes Twitter, likes getting on there and putting out some of the graphics that the athletic department puts for him. The turn out the lights logo, or the turn on the lights logo. Now it's can't turn off the lights the way it's been going. But he's enjoying this whole process, and obviously the coaches can't talk about unsigned recruits, so all he can do is play this sort of vague game on Twitter. So we sort of have to go around and watch what the individual athletes are going to do. They're the ones who have to make the announcements for themselves. The school can't do it when it's only a non-binding verbal. So early on, you get these kids out of Florida, or it started with a kid out of Florida, Kalijah Cansey, a defensive tackle. Then it goes on, quarterback from South Carolina, Davis Beville, another Floridian, running back Vincent Davis, and then a safety/outside linebacker, not sure how the Panthers are going to use him, Kadri Jackson, another Florida kid. All kids out of the South for the Panthers, which, was a trend as this day went on, that a lot of these kids, a lot of Floridians, a lot from Alabama, had Davis Beville, the quarterback from South Carolina, big 6'6", pro-style QB. And, in the second segment, I definitely want to talk about the geography to the whole recruiting thing, but still looking at a big picture. Those 4 were the early ones in the day, and then it just seemed to keep rolling on, keep snowballing. I've got the list of names in front of me: DeAndre Jules, Brandon Hill, Brandon Mack, Bryce Nelms, Brandon George was the last one. He was the linebacker from Eastern PA, outside of Reading, right around Reading area, that wrapped up the day. He didn't make his unofficial announcement on Twitter until 9 o'clock at night. So it was a long day for the Panthers, but a productive one, to where they went from being in the Sunbelt region of the recruiting rankings, that these services, Rivals and 24/7 Sports and all to ranked right around 30 in most of them. I wrote our grind column for the website for Tuesday morning. At that moment, they were ranked 30th and 32nd in Rivals and 24/7. I don't forget which one was which in there. Now, those things are constantly in a state of flux because as new verbals come in from other schools, teams move up and down. Some of these kids, their star ratings change. As more tape gets on them, more offers come in. 3-star kids become 4 stars. 4 stars become 3. That's why the star system is such an inexact science, because a lot of times it just takes these services getting to know the kids more and finding out more about them, and they realize, oh, hey, we're really underrating a kid. Let's adjust their star rating, which, the stars are way overrated. I'll talk about that after the break here. Actually, now's a good time to take a break, get a little more in depth to some of the details about these star ratings and about the geography to how the Panthers are getting these recruits in. Talk about that in a little bit on The Pitt Show here on DK Sports Radio.
Injured in an accident? Need assistance in preserving your business's interests? Let the attorneys at Bassey, Vreeland & Associates protect your legal rights. For over 65 years, Bassey, Vreeland & Associates has been representing the citizens and businesses of southwestern Pennsylvania. With offices strategically located in Washington and Charleroi, Bassey, Vreeland & Associates can deliver results for you throughout the Pittsburgh area. Visit www.bmvlaw.com or call 724-228-7000 to see how Bassey, Vreeland & Associates can meet your legal needs. Bassey, Vreeland & Associates. We fight, we care, we win.
Miller Lite is the original light beer, and we'll always brew it to have more taste, with only 96 calories and 3.2 carbs. Because we believe that if you compromise on taste, you can taste the compromise. Miller Lite. Hold true.
Great beer, great responsibility. 2018 Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Average analysis, 12 fluid ounces. Less than 1 gram protein, 0 grams fat.
If you're one of the thousands of Western Pennsylvanians who love to get outdoors, then you need to check out this cool new website, stepoutside.org. Learn where, when, and how you can go camping, hiking, or hunting. Or take part in power sports, shooting sports, or water sports in your local community or across the country at stepoutside.org, where everything you need to know is just a click away. That's stepoutside.org.
What I want from my public accounting firm is big ideas.
But I don't want to lose the personal attention.
My company needs global capabilities.
From a firm with local ownership.
And I want to work with industry experts
who take the time to understand my unique challenges. And that's what sets Schneider Downs apart. Expertise for the most complex business issues, with the service you need every day. To learn how our big thinking with a personal focus can help your company, visit schneiderdowns.com.
Injured in an accident? Need assistance in preserving your business's interests? Let the attorneys at Bassey, Vreeland & Associates protect your legal rights. For over 65 years, Bassey, Vreeland & Associates has been representing the citizens and businesses of southwestern Pennsylvania. With offices strategically located in Washington and Charleroi, Bassey, Vreeland & Associates can deliver results for you throughout the Pittsburgh area. Visit www.bmvlaw.com or call 724-228-7000 to see how Bassey, Vreeland & Associates can meet your legal needs. Bassey, Vreeland & Associates. We fight, we care, we win.
Welcome back to the Pitt Show here on DK Sports Radio. I'm Matt Grubba here with our second segment here. We're going to keep talking about Pitt football. Thanks once again to Bassey, Vreeland & Associates, our sponsor. I want to just continue on what we ended the last segment talking about with the star ratings and the college football recruiting. And, I'm a little bit cynical when it comes to these ratings. And let me just tell you why here. Look, these services try to do a good thing. There are clearly people out there. You probably wouldn't be listening to me right here if you weren't interested in things like college football recruiting, things like that. But it's a really inexact science. And I say that, it's like, look, we can all tell. The eyeball test tells us when we see a 5-star kid. When you see a kid that is just so head and shoulders athletic, so dominant that, they just mow everybody down, especially at the high school level, you can tell that. But when we're trying to get down to differentiating between who's a 2-star, who's a 3-star, who's a 4-star kid a lot of times, some of it can be very subjective. Some of it can be, some kids get the benefit of the doubt because they happen to play at a powerhouse program or play in a pretty competitive league, whereas a kid who maybe is tearing it up but not against the greatest competition doesn't get the same look. So these star ratings, I get why they're useful and I get why they're out there. But at the same time, let me just throw out for instance, looking just at these Pitt kids who've committed. So Pitt's first commitment back now 2 weeks ago, Leslie Smith, was a kid that initially was some services didn't even have him rated, hadn't been. Now that he is committed to Pitt, 3 stars they give him. Well, Smith was a kid, Pitt got in on him early, and they were his first Power 5 offer. Now, I've seen the 2-minute highlight footage that comes on his prospect page on some of these websites. That's the extent I've seen this a kid from Miami. I couldn't tell you from what I've seen, because it's highlights again. These are the best plays you're seeing on there. If he's really a 3-star kid, if he's a 2-star, if he's a 4-star, taking their word for it. But what I can go by is, okay, so Pitt got in on him early. Now, let's go down the list here a little bit and look at one of their other recruits that committed, and the guy who I actually, from what I've seen, did impress me with the highlight reel and just that sort of thing, was Mack, the defensive end he's from Montgomery, Alabama, Brandon Mack, also a 3-star kid in the ratings. Now, I watched his tape, and some good tape of him, sort of putting on that man amongst boys show. Really some dominating looking things. Now, once again, I haven't seen enough of the body of work, not even close, to be able to give you a real evaluation on the kid. Now, however, I'm looking at his list of offers, and I see he's already got offers from LSU and Ole Miss and Mississippi State, three SEC schools right there. Also Louisville, who's been a recent contender in the ACC and has churned out some great teams. Like, he has some really strong schools that are in the conversation trying to get after him. So, I trust the college coaching staffs, the guys who, their job really depends on not only rating these kids well, but recruiting them to their school. I kind of trust their evaluation more than I do these recruiting services. So when I see a kid like that coming to Pitt, opting over LSU or Ole Miss, I kind of tend to think that's a little more of a get than a kid who Pitt's their first Power 5 offer. And again, this isn't to knock Pitt's first commit, Leslie Smith. Maybe Pitt found a diamond in the rough and we're just smart getting in on him quickly. But that's just my little spiel on why I don't trust the star ratings entirely. So, and then you have guys, Brandon Hill, one of the recruits to Pitt. He's a safety. He's a guy that, ESPN, one service has him at 4-star, the others have him at 3. So who do you trust there? My tendency is to look at where the offers are coming from and look who's talking to the kid. That's usually where you can pick up the best track on it. Other thing I really wanted to get to today was talking about the geography of this. And, for better or worse, there will always be, just because of the tradition, a segment of the Pitt fan base that, you need to get Pittsburgh kids, local kids, the best of the WPIL, yada, yada, yada. I am not in that camp whatsoever. But I will say this. It behooves them, if there is a ACC quality player in the Pittsburgh area, to put on the full court press and try to get them to stay at home. That's certainly a huge benefit. However, just because a kid is local doesn't mean that maybe they should offer him when there's a kid who might be slightly better from Virginia or Georgia or whatever state. Georgia and Florida are 2 states Pitt's been recruiting very heavily this recruiting cycle, and we see that with the guys committing, although actually no Georgia commitments yet, but with the Floridians, 5 of them in this wave that came in over the weekend. Pitt is looking for players. And I had a chance, actually was down at the Rooney Complex earlier today, had a chance to talk with offensive coordinator Sean Watson. And, he sort of echoed that, talking about, 3 or 4 stars with most of those kids, they're all really in the same pool. It's more about fit. It's more about the type of athlete you want for your school, your system. There's other factors that work into it, off-field, academics, attitude. All of these things come into recruiting and can't be quantified by a highlight tape on Huddle online or by a star rating from one of the services. So, the fact that Pitt was able to get this snowball effect over the weekend, get so many kids already on board, and you have to figure they're going to be looking for something in the 20 to 25 scholarship kids range. So to have 12 at the moment I'm talking to you now, and who knows, this is looking at my producer here. What day is this? Wednesday? It's a Wednesday afternoon we're taping this. There's still, by the time you're listening to it, there could be more commitments. I don't know. But, if 12, if they're halfway to, if 20 to 25 is their target, they're halfway there in terms of verbal commitments as we head into a dark period in July, and then you're going to see it really heat up again when the teams get on the field. So, I think this was such an important weekend for Pitt, and I think they're going in the right direction by showing they're willing to go get the players they want, the players they think can help them win from wherever they may be, whether it's Florida, whether they have, out of this commitment list, one from New Jersey, one from Maryland, one from Alabama, one from South Carolina. You know what? Don't limit yourself. There's so many good players out there, especially in the southern states. Ohio's the only northeastern state anymore that is even in the top 8 states for producing 4 or 5-star talent. So, you got to go where the players are, and this Pitt staff showing a willingness to do it, and I applaud them for that. I think on that note, that's a good place to wrap it up. Thank you, Chris Benson, producing, looking across the glass from me. Also, always want to thank Bazzi Breel & Associates. They're great with their sponsorship of our Pitt coverage here at DKPittsburghSports.com. They allow us to do a lot of things that, especially once the season gets going, we might not otherwise be able to do. So thanks to them. I'm Matt Grubba. Thank you for listening. Hope you'll stick around, listen to our other great stuff here on DK Sports Radio.